Hello, my name is Dr. Tiff, and I'm going to give you an overview of my course. So if you have any questions for your student, you should now have access to all the same information that I gave them the first week of school. So first of all, here's my Canvas page. I have it set up in a way that I think makes it pretty easy for the students to navigate. This is the home page that when they first log into my course, they're going to see. I have my sections listed here. Each week I have a calendar listed out with what we're going to be doing each day, as well as links to assignments. And then I even give them the next week that's coming up. I also have a Discord server that they can join, completely optional. But that way, if they have questions in the evening or in the afternoon, they can ask each other, and they can also ask me, sending me messages, and I can also respond to those more rapidly than if they were to come through email. So that's a great option. My syllabus is linked under here under simple syllabus. But on my side, I can't see it because of the cross section. So I also have it listed here in this document. See if they'll come up here. All right, so here's my course syllabus. Here's my contact info right here on the top. My office hours are in the mornings before school starts at 7:30, and then after school. And I can also meet by appointment, just depending on the days that I have to leave promptly or if I have a club meeting. The course description is listed here, and you can read all of this stuff on your own. Here is our course textbook. This is given to the students the first week of school, and they can utilize it throughout the semester, and then I collect it back at the very end. I also post additional readings, podcasts, videos, and things like that in assignments on Canvas. So they also have access to those as well. Here's our learning objectives and outcomes. Here is the course evaluation method. So one thing that's important to know about my course is because it is a university course and they're getting college credit for it, the university pulls their grades from Canvas. So a lot of the high school classes will have their grades in Focus, and Canvas is kind of like a space for practice. So some of the grades may not enter the final grade book. In my class, every single grade that is in Canvas is going to be on Focus unless it's listed as does not count towards final grade. But I believe, I can't think of anything offhand that would not be counted right now. So their Canvas grade should match their Focus grade completely. If they're ever off, they need to let me know, preferably over email. So at the end of the semester, their grade gets pulled by the university from Canvas, and then the school district, 80 Henderson FAU High School, will pull from Focus. So I just duplicate into Focus every couple of weeks, but everything should be up to date in Canvas. Here's the breakdown of where they get their grades. So I sometimes give essays, and the points amount can vary depending on the length and complexity of the assignment. A lot of their grade comes from participation, homework, and class activities. Homework assignments are generally anywhere from 10 to 20 points, depending on how long or how complex the assignment is. So that's available to them. And about 50% of the course credit comes from homework assignments. We have the various exams listed here. Sometimes I do split them up a little bit differently, and the point value may vary a couple points here and there. But the way I've structured my exams is that I start off with low value exams, and then they get progressively larger as the semester goes on. First of all, I understand you're coming into a new course. It's really hard to know what the teacher's testing style is going to be. So I made it so the first exam really is low value. It's almost like a big homework assignment. And then from there, they can begin to build their knowledge in the course and understand my testing style as we go forward. I will also put some review questions from previous exams on the exam that they're taking. And that way I'm making sure that they're holding onto that content, and will review anything that I think they need to get refreshed on. And at the end of the semester, they make an infographic poster on a mental health disorder, and that's worth approximately 40, 50 points, depending on the semester. Here is the grading scale breakdown. It's the university standard. Here's our topic outlines right here. So we do cover the introduction chapter, especially in the fall, because it talks about study strategies and time management, and also how to utilize our textbook for studying. And then we go through the chapters one by one. I will say chapters 1 through 5 will probably take us to the end of the first quarter, even though I'm not giving quarter grades. That's kind of my timing. And then the next chapters, they go a little bit faster. We have to really dig into some of the background information before we can really begin to move quickly. So those first few chapters are going to take a lot longer than the later chapters. Usually like chapter 2, for example, will take me 2 weeks to get through, whereas chapter 9 takes me 3 days in class. So it really just depends on where we are in the semester, how long it's going to take us to move through. We do skip chapters 12 and 13, and we jump to 14 because I really want to make sure we get to psychological disorders before the end of the semester. I just want to kind of go over the course content. And of course, if I need to, I might ask questions that are maybe probing or asking the students to think differently about a topic. Not necessarily I'm taking that viewpoint personally, but I just want to make sure that we're kind of considering all sides of an argument. But we're going to maintain a civil conversation. And of course, if disagreements occur, that's usually encouraged. We want to make sure that students are active and thinking about these topics, especially in psychology. Again, exams, we hold them regularly throughout the semester, usually every 2 weeks on average, but it may be a little bit more time and maybe a little bit less time. The exams are going to be multiple choice questions and then 2 short answer questions. So let's say the exam is 35 points. You're gonna have 25 multiple choice questions, 2 short answer questions, and the short answer questions are worth 5 points each. I'm not looking for spelling and grammar on the essay questions. I really just want to see them answer the topic. Of course, I need to understand what they're saying. So grammar and spelling can play a small role in that, but really I just want to make sure that they're giving me a thoughtful answer that answers all parts of the question. So usually it's not just like one factual answer. I'm asking them to think about some things and combine information from the text or from our lectures. Again, there might be additional questions from previous exam material. I want to make sure that they're holding on to that content throughout the semester. I do want students to participate in lectures. I want them to ask good questions, but I also want them to remain civil. And if anything ever comes up that they feel uncomfortable about, I would encourage them to come talk to me. It might be a misunderstanding. It might be something that was said in class that maybe was misspoken or not explained well. So I really want to make sure that we have a open dialogue throughout the course. The makeup policy for our assignments. So pretty much all the assignments are going to be due at 11:59. Anything that's submitted late is a 0. We have the hard policy across the high school to make sure that they're getting used to that rigid nature of the deadlines that you're going to see at the university as well. If students have to be out for an absence, if it's an excused absence and they're missing an exam that day, they can take it up, make it up the very next day, but I reserve the right to give them a different version of the exam. Also, if they're missing a homework assignment, even if most homework assignments are assigned with a week or two's notice. So even if they miss the day that the homework is due and it's due at 11:59, if it was an excused absence, that homework assignment is still due because it was assigned before. Now, if there was an assignment that was given that day in class and expected to be turned in that night, they would get additional time if it's an excused absence. If it's not an excused absence, they don't get an opportunity to make that up. Same thing with exams. It needs to be an excused absence. Again, Canvas is where they're going to be accessing all their course material. I send out announcements through that. I set assignments through that. That's where they submit their homework. Everything is going to be utilizing Canvas. If they do have a question, I encourage them to email me directly through the Outlook system that FAU uses, just because the Canvas messaging box system can sometimes be delayed and it's hard to follow the string of a conversation because it doesn't hold on to the previous messages. And it's also hard to have attachments with that. So direct email is the best way. Our academic integrity policy comes from the university, and we've gone over this with all the students. So this includes cheating, plagiarism, and other forms of dishonesty. This is kind of the boilerplate stuff that comes from the university, the attendance policy, religious accommodations, time commitment per credit hour. This is something that I think is important, especially when going over to the university for their courses. The idea behind this is that for every credit hour a course is going to be giving, so like my class is a 3-credit course, That means they're gonna have about 3 hours per week in class time, but they're supposed to be spending twice that amount of time preparing for that course content outside of school. So if they're spending 3 hours a week in class, they need to be spending 6 hours a week in preparation, doing homework, reading, studying, things like that. Now, because we are 5 days a week in class for 90 minutes at a time, that's not going to really still work in my course. I do provide additional instruction, and I cover things more thoroughly than they would at a university course, but it's just something to keep in mind when they begin to plan their courses for the next year. The grade appeal process, lecture recording, CAPS, the counseling center. We have our counseling program here through the high school. We encourage them to utilize that at all times. Classroom etiquette, and then all the online resources that they may have. So this is the syllabus. And again, it's available on Canvas under the simple syllabus section. Close out of this. Other important things for the students to access is in modules. In here, they're going to have access to really important links. So I have on the very top my lecture materials and extras. I have pre-recorded all of my lectures. I don't use them in class unless for whatever reason I'm really ill or something. I might use it as an assignment. But I have all of my classes, all my courses, all my lectures are recorded in here, and they can go. So let's say they're in chapter 7, which is our memory chapter. They can go in here and they can listen to my lecture recording. They can also view the additional videos that I would normally show in class, or some supplementary videos I don't even have time to show in class. There's a lot of great content in here. So if they ever miss a day, they have an absence, they can go back and watch this. Or if they miss something in class, they zoned out, fell asleep, which they shouldn't be doing, but you know what I mean. They can go back and they can view those online. There's some information about the lockdown browser program that we use to do exams. Also, I've saved over the many years of teaching this course links to articles that are in podcasts that I think are interesting for students who might want to know more about a topic. So here's the links, and I have them arranged by the chapter, and then I have the episode name, the podcast, where it comes from, as well as a little bit more content if the name of the podcast wasn't that informative. So I have this for each of our chapters. So if they want to know more about something, they can definitely dive in deeper. Same thing with my interesting web links spreadsheet here. I have links to various articles or videos that I think might be useful for them. Okay, going back to Canvas. For each chapter, I open up a module that's going to have the link to the lecture recordings right here. I'll tell them to make sure they're reading the chapter, and then I will have any assignments or extra videos that go along with it. So here, they had an assignment where they had to read a reflection or do a reflection on an ethnography of another cultural group. So this is for each chapter. I open them up as we begin to move through. And at the very end, I have a module called Review Quizlets and Kahoots. So if students are trying to study, they can go to these and open them up and do review for the exam. Now, my only note with this is that I did not create these. I found them and I kind of took a good look through them, but there may be extra things on there, or there may be some sections of the chapter that aren't in there. I encourage them to make their own Kahoots. The process of making, or a Quizlet, excuse me, it's like a flashcard game that they can do online. The Quizlets are great because they are a flashcard system, but making their own will help them get that deeper understanding of the content, because they actually have to like sit there and type it in themselves. So I encourage them to make their own. However, if they don't want to, they can use the ones that I have available here. So I have those for each chapter. And then I also have some videos, some information about plagiarism, some other research I think they might find interesting. And they also have, of course, their assignments. So in here, it's going to list out all their assignments, their deadlines. The ones that are listed here in green are the ones that I've already opened for my students this semester. And then you can kind of see we have quite a bit coming up in the next couple of weeks here before the end of the first quarter. Okay. I believe that's all that I really need to go through. There are plenty of resources available for students. If they ever need tutoring, they can ask me and I can make sure I have a tutor that can meet with them. I have a bunch of upperclassmen who would love the service hours for tutoring. So they can either meet here and stay after school for our tutoring with Senora, or they can meet outside of the school hours. If you have any questions, please send me an email. My email address is on the syllabus, but it's also just my full name, Amy Tift, Tift, @fau.edu. Thank you so much.